This team had the best record in Major League Baseball against right-handed pitching with 71 wins. The big bats are missing. The #1 hitter, Jock Jones, hitting 162 so far in the postseason. And how about Corey Koski, their 3 guy, with 7 punch-outs? I mean, he's been lights out. He just has not done the job. But Joe Mays has. He's got the lone victory in this postseason. ALCS against the Angels. He pitched 8 strong innings with that good curveball, good 2-seam fastball, good changeup. He's got all the pitches. He won 17 games a year ago. And take a look at this pitch right here. A slider. See that red dot in the middle? Good hitters will see that immediately out of the hand. Didn't happen this time for Troy Glaus, but every time he sees a fastball, particularly a four-seam fastball, it's a game-winning hit for him. Mays versus Appier. No pressure on Kevin Appier. Mays, a lot of pressure on him.
Pressure up the freeway in the Bay Area. It is the end.
Anaheim can finish it off today. They don't want to go back to that Metrodome because they've seen this before back in 1986. They don't want to have that happen again. The Giants and Cardinals, Andy Bennis has to come up big to try to even this thing up. A big comeback win yesterday. We'll see if Eli Rivera's in the lineup again.
All right, coming up, the Angels are poised to do what many others couldn't, make the Twins go away. The Halos are looking for Game 5 victory with a trip to the World Series on the line. It is next on Fox.
We welcome you to Anaheim's Edison International Field for the American League Championship Series Game 5. And a hometown crowd hoping they'll celebrate the Angels' first ever trip to the World Series. Meanwhile, for Minnesota, already having faced 2 elimination games in this postseason already, won both of those, and trying to do the same here again today and send it back to the Metrodome. Mike Scioscia preparing his team. Ron Gardenhire trying to get his troops fired up to make it a 3-2 series and head back home.
Well, Tommy, I think this will be the loosest Twins team that we've seen in this playoff so far, because they're used to having everybody think that they're not going to win. They weren't supposed to win their division. They weren't supposed to beat the A's. And right now, everyone is expecting them to go home at the hands of the Angels. I think they come out swinging, and they come out as loose as they've been in this entire series.
Meanwhile, on the other side, for Mike Scioscia's team, they realize what's at stake here as the Angels take the field to this raucous crowd. Could they be a little too amped, if you will, for this one today?
I don't think so, for a couple reasons. It's not really the personality of their team, and it certainly is not the personality of their manager. I talked to Mike Scioscia earlier today. He said, you know what, we don't even really ever go out and worry about winning games. We worry about playing the type of baseball that we play, and then we expect to win games because of that. They will still be aggressive, but they won't beat themselves.
Take a look at the Minnesota starting lineup for this one. Jock Jones, only 1 hit in the series, leads off in left field. Of course, he's not the only Twin struggling. They have managed 2 runs in their last 21 innings. Christian Guzman at shortstop, Corey Koski at third, David Ortiz at DH, Torrey Hunter in center with Doug Mientkiewicz at first. Dustin Moore again in right field, A.J. Pierzynski behind the plate, and Luis Rivas, the second baseman. They'll be facing the 34-year-old Lancaster, California native Kevin Appier.
Appier is going to bring everything at you but the kitchen sink. This is a guy that's going to get ahead with his fastball. Then he's going to try to expand that strike zone, get you to swing at bad sliders and bad splitters. Falls right into the hands of an over-aggressive Twins team, and he doesn't mind throwing a lot of pitches. He'll go deep into counts if, in fact, the Twins will let him.
Well, we welcome those of you who have been watching the NFL on Fox throughout the early part of the morning here out west, and the early afternoon back east. It's Game 5 of this American League Championship Series with the Angels leading it 3-1. Anaheim on defense. Garrett Anderson, Darren Erstad, and Tim Salmon left, center, and right. Troy Glaus, David Eckstein on the left side. Adam Kennedy solid at second base, along with Spezio's had a big series at first with a battery of Appier and Benji Molina. Coming into this postseason, going back before the division series, Appier the only Anaheim Angel with postseason experience. That came a couple of years ago pitching for the Oakland Athletics.
I'm in the minority in this, but I really believe that postseason experience is overrated. These guys have played 162 games this season. Many of them are veteran players. Many of the guys with postseason experience are sitting home watching right now. 3 teams that won 100 games aren't playing anymore. Think Frankie Rodriguez needs any postseason experience? It's been the most exciting thing in the playoffs outside of possibly Barry Bonds. Kid had 5 games of major league experience before he toed the rubber in a playoff game.
Well, here we go in Anaheim. Game 5. Jock Jones digging in. 1 of 17 in the series. His lone hit a double and a run batted in. Appier turns it loose. And it's ball 1, says home plate umpire Dana DeMuth, and we are underway. Jones and Guzman struggling at the top of the order. Only 4 of 32, the top 2 hitters in this Minnesota lineup so far in the series. 2-0.
Ron Gardenhire told us earlier today that early in this game he may play for 1 run just to take some pressure off of his own pitchers. Try to find a way to get a lead. He said, hey, it hasn't made a whole lot of sense for us to bunt guys over in this series so far because the guy behind him hasn't been driving in anybody either.
Line into right field. Salmon slides.
Keep an eye on Tim Salmon out there with a bad hamstring. He comes in to try to make the sliding catch. He got it. Anytime when you have a bad hamstring, it's the starts and stops that really hurt you. When you really have to bust to take off and go get one. You can see him stretching it out there. Late in the game, you can be sure that if the Angels have a lead, you're going to see Alex Ochoa back out in right field.
Ochoa, a couple of big games late as a defensive replacement for Salmon out in right field, especially in game 3. Now Christian Guzman. Breaking ball from Appier, and there's strike. Guzman 9 of 36 during the playoffs. 3 of 15 during the league championship series. Away to Guzman, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Appier got the loss in the opening game of this series, although he pitched well, but Mays was better. Appier 5 innings, allowed only 2 runs, left trailing 2-1, and that was the final. Mays allowed 1 unearned run in 8 innings, and Eddie Guardado closed it out. 2-2 to Guzman.
Talk about the Twins not scoring many runs in the last 21 innings. Sooner or later, you got to give a lot of credit to Jared Washburn and John Lackey, who were terrific in their last 2 starts.
High pop-up, straightaway center field. Playable first and under the bright sunshine. Too long. We asked Ron Gardenhire about his approach, his team's approach, coming into this must-win game.
People say you have to win 3 in a row. Really, you just have to win 1 in a row. And you have to do it 3 times. And that's the way we look at it. Win 1 in a row 3 times. And you start by going at it today. Joe Mays pitched a great game in the first one. If he can keep us in the ball game, we'll have a shot.
We have had so much fun with Ron Gardenhire in this series. He's been like an open book with us. The meetings that we have before each game. Not afraid to tell us exactly what he has said to some of his players, how he's tried to inspire them, what he's thinking, the reasons he does the things that he does.
One of those players he's trying to inspire bats now, Corey Koski. Down and in 2-0. Koski has struggled mightily. 4 of 15 in this series, 7 strikeouts, including 4 in 1 game.
And 6 in a row.
2-0. Miss the inside corner. 3 balls, no strikes to Corey Koski.
Koski needs an at-bat like this. He's ahead in the count 3-0. He still has a chance now to look at one more pitch, get a little more comfortable at the plate, try to figure out what Appier's going to do. He has been down in the count 0-2 so many times in this series. He's just had to battle his way out, and he hasn't been able to do it.
And he takes ball 4. Very small strike zone early on here from home plate umpire Dana DeMuth. Appier already looking in on a couple of those calls in that at bat.
Now he wants this inside corner from Dana DeMuth. That's clearly a ball for ball 4. He wanted the 2 pitches that he threw before that in on the inside part of the plate and didn't get them.
That is the first walk drawn by a Minnesota batter in the last 20 innings. Wow. And really what that boils down to is you're going to have to collect at least 3 hits in an inning to try and score a run if you're not sandwiching a walk somewhere in between or in among base hits. David Ortiz looks at a ball that gets away from Molina, and advancing on to second is Koski. Both catchers have been rock solid behind the plate in this series, Molina and Pierzynski.
Molina this time once again just getting a teeny bit lazy by not getting down on his knees and letting this ball hit off his chest protector rather than trying to glove that ball. Watch him get down on your knees on this one, get your glove out of the way between your legs, and let that ball hit you off the chest protector, and it stays right in front of you. Did that one other time in this series.
Now a chance for Minnesota to get on the board, a runner in scoring position. And Appier has now missed on 6 straight pitches. 2-0 to David Ortiz. 4 hits and 12 at-bats with an RBI, and that RBI came in the 9th inning last night against Ben Weber, after Anaheim had opened a 7-0 lead. Minnesota in the series with runners in scoring position, only 4 of 18, 222 average. In the air, right field, hit pretty well. Salmon drifting back to the wall. He will not get it. Scoring is Koski on his way to second with an RBI double as David Ortiz, and Minnesota jumps out to an early lead.
Ortiz told me before the game that he has to be patient with Appier because hitting fourth, you don't get too many strikes. That's a strike in a 2-0 count. He thought he might have got it out of the ballpark. A couple of these Twins hitters have thought that they've jumped the yard in this game a couple times, and Jock Jones the other night and David Ortiz. But the good thing about it, you can stand there and watch it for a second as long as you make sure you get your rear end to second base if it doesn't go out of the park.
Now Torrey Hunter looking for his first run batted in this league championship series. And another pitch in the dirt by Appier, ball 1.
I think for the younger players, as you watch Tim Salmon go back on this ball, thought he had a chance to catch it. Bounces off the wall, and Erstad came all the way over to help out. Hey, if you're a younger player and you're playing in a game and you hit a ball out of the park, you don't really have to stand and watch it at home plate. You got a long time to slow that trot down after the ballpark, after it goes out of the park, while you're running from first through the rest of the bases. Run hard until it gets out.
Hunter pops it up right side of the infield, should end the inning. Spezio's there, and it does. But Minnesota gets a lead for the first time since winning game 1. After a half inning, 1-0. Let's take a look at his starting lineup. David Eckstein leads off at short. Darren Erstad in center field. Tim Salmon in right. Garrett Anderson, a left fielder. Troy Gloss, 4 postseason home runs thus far at third. Brad Fulmer, the DH. A latter third of Scott Spezio. Benji Molina, the catcher, and Adam Kennedy at second base. Most of the Anaheim damage done late in the series. And on the mound, outstanding in game 1, Joe Mays.
Those numbers a little inflated because he hung the slider to Eric Chavez in the divisional series for the 3-run homer. But boy, he's got a heavy sinker. He's got to stay down in the strike zone to make that thing work. And he tries to get hitters to chase the breaking ball in the dirt if he can get ahead. Everything is down, down, down from him.
First pitch hacking David Eckstein, and almost got his third base coach Ron Renicky down there.
Renicky saying, is that all you got, Eck?
We really enjoyed, you mentioned earlier about Ron Gardenhire, but really both of the staffs of these two teams, the managers, Gardenhire and Mike Scioscia, and their coaches, good guys, real good guys, and it's been a pleasure to work with them during this series. Eckstein lays down the bunt, charging Koski. In time. Good play by Corey Koski down at third base.
This is a pretty play by Koski as he shows you that you don't have to barehand the ball all the time. If you can get your feet underneath you and you're a little bit more sure-handed with your glove, go ahead and glove the ball, especially if you think you got a half a step of time. Eckstein, not a burner, and he slipped out of the box.
Now Darren Erstad. 14 hits and 36 at-bats during this postseason so far. He's 6 of 17 here in the League Championship Series. Bouncing ball up the middle. Rivas cuts it off. Plants, throws, and Erstad lets it out. Infield hit.
Darren Erstad could smell a base hit as soon as this ball bounced off his bat. Once it takes that big hop, he knows it's going to take a long time to come down. Rivas not in any big hurry there. I think he should have quickened up. He's got some of the quickest hands in baseball. Takes a little bit too much time, and Erstad is flying down the line. Safe.
Erstad, his 15th base hit of the postseason. That's more than any other player in either league. On the other side of the coin, there's Salmon, who is hitless in 10 at-bats in this series. Ball one down low. Tim had a big division series with a couple of home runs and 7 knocked in against the Yankees. But the longest tenured Angel has struggled, although he's hit some balls hard in this series, but nothing to show for it.
Which would make you think that Erstad would be a little more aggressive on the bases. Generally might hang around, let Salmon go deep, but he has not been swinging the bat all that well.
Check swing and a foul out of play, 1-1. Mays, 26 years old, grew up in Flint, Michigan, was Seattle's 8th round pick back in June of '94. Came over to Minnesota in '97 for Roberto Kelly. Missed a large portion of this season with inflammation in the muscle and the tendons in his right elbow. He only made 17 starts after winning 17 games a year ago. Base hit left field. Salmon's first of the series.
Mays was very inconsistent this season with his starts. He'd have a good one, then a bad one, then a good one. A lot of the guys say he gets in trouble when he tries to trick you. Just keep the ball down. This ball, not bad. Out over the plate a little bit, but about knee high, and Salmon just goes down there and digs it out and hits it into the 6-hole.
Now Garrett Anderson. 3 of 16 during the League Championship Series with a big home run, 2 runs batted in. Minnesota leading 1-0, but Anaheim trying to answer that and then some here in the bottom of the first. Strike one.
It's going to be difficult on any ball hit from center to the left field line to throw Erstad out at home. Garrett Anderson goes that way so well, and look how deep Jock Jones is playing out here in the outfield to respect Anderson's power the opposite field.
Double play ball, maybe. Rivas to second, throw to first is not enough time to double up Anderson. So runners on the corners, 2 away in the inning. Let's take a look at this outstanding Minnesota defense. Jones, Hunter, and Dustin Moore left, center, and right. Koski, Guzman, Rivas, and Metkevich third to first. A battery of Mays and Pierzynski. See, they've struggled a little bit on defense. 3 of those 8 errors came in the very first game of the postseason against Oakland. They were the Major League's best defensive team during the regular year.
And the team that has defined their defense in this playoff series has been the Anaheim Angels.
Now Gloss, 6 of 14 in the series. A home run, 2 runs batted in. The home run, of course, a game winner here on Friday night. Gloss owns 4 solo home runs during the 2002 playoffs, second most in postseason history, behind Ken Griffey Jr. Then with Seattle in 1995. One and one to Gloss. "16 years ago yesterday, the Anaheim Angels had that heartbreaking defeat. A strike away, an out away from going to the World Series when they led Boston 3-1. Franchise has never been to the World Series. Taken outside of Gloss. 2 balls and a strike. And they just as soon rewrite the history book right here and right now on the home front rather than trying to do it in Minnesota.
Dave Henderson with a huge home run for the Red Sox in that '86 series.
Fly ball right center field should end the inning. Torrey Hunter is there, and it does. So a couple of hits, 2 men left. End of 1. Minnesota out to a 1-0 lead. Casting trucks on the road. Go to the second inning. Minnesota in front 1-0. Tom Brenneman alongside Steve Lyons. Great to have you with us for Game 5 of this American League Championship Series. Kevin Appier to face Doug Mankiewicz. And a breaking ball is outside, 1-0. Mankiewicz 4 hits and 14 at bats here in the League Championship Series. 2 runs batted in. Appier issued a 2-out walk for Corey Koski in the opening inning. A wild pitch got him a second, and David Ortiz knocked him in with a double off the right field wall. One to Mankiewicz. High and away, 2 balls and a strike.
Mentioned these guys will be a little bit more of a free swinging team today, but this guy Mankiewicz will still be the most patient guy in this Twins lineup.
High fly ball slicing towards Garrett Anderson out in short left field. 1 away. The Minnesota team, Steve, being down there in the clubhouse before the game, they didn't seem like they were tense. They didn't seem to be concerned. Obviously, they know they're down 3-1, that they feel like they can still win this thing.
No, there's no question they feel like they can still win. They're still playing baseball. There's a lot of guys sitting at home watching them. And like I said, this is a team that's always not been given a whole lot of respect. Everyone expects them to lose all the time, and here they are. And I think they play better when they're in a situation like that. When people start expecting this organization to win is when I think they play a little bit tighter baseball. I think right now is an ideal situation for them.
Dustin Moore, the right fielder, starting his 3rd straight game, has 3 hits and 8 at bats. Breaking ball in there, strike.
Appier's been throwing a lot of first pitch breaking balls, not his best one. It's called a get me over curveball. You get a guy up there looking for a first pitch fastball, you just flip a curveball up there just to get a strike. Doesn't have to be a great one, especially if you're not looking for it.
Well, if you include the postseason in 1 start already this year, Kevin Appier is winless against Minnesota since May of 1999.
There's the spin of that slider. You see the seams rotating. the second pitch that he bounced up there.
Line into left center field, a base hit, and this ball will roll to the wall. Dustin Moore on his way to second base with a one-out double here in the end. Minnesota second inning.
Well, Gardenhire said this guy sat on the bench and watched long enough. He's got one of the more pure swings that we have on this team. He juices that one into the gap, runs the bases very well, just doesn't slide all that great. We were talking about that before the game, and he said he wasn't sure which way to go. Feet first, head first. And he's run into some problems out there on the bases, but he can get on the base. He says, hopefully today I won't have to slide too much. Guys will drive me in with doubles. I can just walk across the plate.
The first two games here in Anaheim, Minnesota only had 2 extra base hits. And already they have 2 in the first inning and a third against Appier here today. Now A.J. Pierzynski. Fouled out of play, 0-1.
Game 3 Friday night. Dustin Moore coming around to score on the plate. He said Molina went left on him in the last minute. I was going to go to the outside part of the plate, and then I bounced my way in. Matt McCroy was all over him saying, yeah, and then you had to act like you were hurt afterwards.
Pierzynski only 1 hit and 13 at bats during this series. He has a runner in scoring position with only 1 out. 0-1. Fouled away again. 0-2.
There's 2 guys right there that need to step it up. No question about it. When you're looking at 1 for 18, 1 for 13, both guys that hit 300 during the season.
Pierzynski, one of the best Minnesota hitters with runners in scoring position during the regular year. He hit .319. But 0 for 3 so far in the league championship series in those situations. Until now, base hit into left field. They're going to wave around the runner. Here comes Garrett Anderson's throw to the plate. Cut off, throw to second. And now they have Pierzynski in a rundown. He's tagged out there. But Pierzynski knocks in the run, making it 2-0. I don't know about you, Steve. You and I have argued about this time to time. In my opinion, that's bad base running right there by Pierzynski.
Yeah, in this situation it is. A lot of times what you'll do is you'll trade the run for the out. But Al Newman is so aggressive as a third base coach that he's sending Dustin Moore no matter what. It's not like playing in the turf here where the ball gets to Garrett Anderson so much quicker. Pierzynski's thinking, I want to make them cut the play off and get me out so I can save the run. But I believe he was going to be safe anyway. And then you still keep the pressure on the defense by staying put at first base. You got to like Al Newman's decisiveness at third base. There's no question in his mind that he wants to send runners. They want to put pressure on this team right here, right now. Do they have something to lose? Yes. If they lose, they go home. But they're looking at it as, hey, we got nothing to lose. We got to play aggressive baseball. Let's go home our way.
And an outstanding start for Minnesota against Kevin Appier, leading 2-0. Swing and a miss by Luis Rivas. 1 ball, 1 strike. A 1-out double in the inning by Moore. He scores on the single by A.J. Pierzynski. Minnesota with 2 runs in the first 2 innings today, equaling their run total over the last 21 frames of this series coming into today's game 5. One-two pitch. Breaking ball in the dirt. Count even to Luis Rivas. Overall, including both the National League and the American League, teams trailing 3 games to 1 in an LCS have won just 3 of 19 series since the best-of-7 format was introduced in 1985. Of course, one of those teams, the Angels. Their strike three called to end the inning. Another run, a couple of hits. After an inning and a half, 2-0 Minnesota. Scott Spezio, 8 runs batted in during the postseason, 2 in this series, 3 hits and 13 at bats.
He's been a thorn in the side of these Twins with the little bloop doubles down the line that he's had. One here and one in the dome in game 2 as well. That neither ball was hit hard, but both balls hurt really bad.
Oh, 1 to Spezio. Bouncing ball to Guzman, the shortstop. And quickly 2 away here in the Anaheim second inning. It's really Joe Mays' game. Throw strikes, let him put the ball in play, and let his outstanding defense pick it up and catch it. October's magical matchups continue tonight. In fact, coming up next, the second half of our LCS doubleheader, Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. The Cardinals trying to even things up at 2 apiece. Part of a full weekend of magical matchups right here on Fox. Pitching matchup in that one will be Andy Bennis for St. Louis. What a remarkable story Andy Bennis has been for the Cardinals. He got roughed up in a start in Arizona back in April, contemplated retirement, went home for a couple of months, and has been outstanding down the stretch against Livan Hernandez. We saw him pitch in San Francisco last week. Mighty good.
Lights out.
Hernandez has never lost a postseason game. That's when you use that line on me about, yeah, it was 5 years ago up until his last start. And you said 5 years ago I was young and good looking.
And things change. As they clearly did with you.
Well, you're tough. I've had more people call me about that line.
So it was a good one, wasn't
it? Yes, it was. It was solid. 2-1 to Benji Molina. And again, on the ground at Guzman. And that'll do it. In the Anaheim second inning, Joe Mays, just like game 1. Solid from the get-go. We go to the third, 2-0 Minnesota. Back in 1996, the very first game he played in after leaving Southern Cal, he injured his knee and missed the entire year. Slider called a strike, 2-2 to Jones. You mentioned the numbers, all career highs for Jock Jones this year. That 300 batting average of 27 homers, 85 batted in. That one in the air. Salmon waits, squeezes it tightly, and Jones retired to begin the Minnesota third. Well, what a big start, though, here for the Twins, getting that 2-out run-scoring double by David Ortiz in the first inning, and the run-scoring single by Pierzynski in the second.
Biggest thing that Gardenhire said about that, just take a little pressure off our pitching staff so that we don't have to feel like we have to be perfect. We're pitching from behind all the time. We can't give up any more runs. Gives me a few more options as to how to use my staff as well.
Guzman looks at ball 1 low. One-0 to Christian Guzman, is swung on and fouled back out of play. We talked about Appier. The last time he beat the Minnesota Twins was May the 7th, 1999. And you see a very high batting average against Appier by these Twins, collectively at .348 in those 5 starts. Two and 1.
And if you really want to dig deep into the numbers, talk about guys that have made 4 starts against the same ball club in the same season. In 14 times that Appier's done that against any one club, his record's 4-6 with an ERA of almost 5. Which would almost stand to reason. The more you see a team, the better looks they get at you. See a few more times, you start to develop patterns against hitters. They have a little bit better idea of what to look for.
3-1 pitch. Swung on and fouled out of play. That's why you bring up a great point. That's why one of the most remarkable statistics I have heard about a pitcher, a starting pitcher, over many years. Now they've gone back to the unbalanced schedule. Kurt Schilling the last 2 years against National League Western Division teams is 21-1. I mean, to see teams in your division that many times and then just continue to wear them out is staggering.
And how much more important that is now about with the unbalanced schedule.
Fly ball in the straightaway center field. Erstad is there. 2 up, 2 down here in the Twins' 3rd inning. Well, you could feel the personality, the enthusiasm building in this ballpark over about the last 2.5, 3 hours, especially the last hour and every increment of maybe 15 minutes or so leading up to the first pitch. And now very quiet with this start by Minnesota.
Best way to take a home crowd out of it is to score early if you're the visiting team.
Now Koskiu threw the 2-out walk. In the first inning, he's down to strike field. Went to second on a wild pitch and scored on the double by David Ortiz for the game's first run.
Crowds here in Anaheim, as they were in the Metrodome, have been outstanding. I can't imagine calling your buddy at a game like this, though, and saying, hey, I'm not sure what seat I'm in, but I'll be the guy wearing the red shirt. Meet me.
Or in Minnesota, I'll be the guy waving the Homer hanky.
Yeah.
Well, you think that joint will be rocking day after tomorrow should this series go back to Minneapolis for Game 6?
It will be louder than what we saw in Game 1 or Game 2. This Anaheim crowd has matched them with their enthusiasm. I think they'll kick it up a notch if we get a chance to go back there. Not like they have the Vikings to cheer for or anything.
Not so far. 1-1. Slider swung on and fouled back. Appier ahead of Koski at 1-2. Two balls, 2 strikes to the Minnesota third baseman. 29-year-old 26th round draft choice was Koski out of Manitoba, Canada back in 1994. Was a great hockey player as a goalie growing up. And an outstanding volleyball player. Really never concentrated on baseball full time till he was 20. 3-2.
Boy, it looks better at the disc today, doesn't it? It just makes a huge difference getting ahead of the count. So many 0-2 counts. I mean, this is a guy that had 26 homers and drove in 103 in 2001. A couple different injuries this year slowed him down a little bit, but this is a guy that needs to hit.
Off the end of the bat, short center field, late break by Erstad, but he'll get to it. Not along the inning. His first scoreless inning. Angels bat, bottom of the 3rd, down a pair. Joe Mays allowed a couple of hits. Back-to-back from Erstad and Salmon in the opening inning. Is set down 5 in a row since. And has a 2-0 lead. Adam Kennedy then back to the top of the order, and Eckstein and Erstad in the Anaheim 3rd. First pitch swinging, smoked into right field. Did he get enough? Yes. Minnesota lead.
Be hard-pressed to ask Joe Mays to pitch the game that he did in Game 1. He was down with everything. So far today, even before that at-bat, he's been throwing up a lot of zeros. But he has been up in the zone quite a few more times in the early going than he ever was in Game 1. That ball belled high to Kennedy, and he wasn't going to let it go.
It's Adams' second home run during the postseason. Bouncing ball at Rivas. Lays the extra hop, knocks it down, throws in time. Good recovery there by Rivas. A little lazy coming in on that ball.
Watch the location of this pitch, right about belt high. Adam Kennedy all over it. This is a guy that hit .312 during the season. Hitting in the back half of the order, 9th most of the season. And then Rivas letting his last hop just eat him up off the wrist. Staying with it though, and watch this gun. Let it rip. Dangerous, dangerous play by Rivas there.
Well, you mentioned Kennedy. He was also Anaheim's best hitter on the year. He batted .312 during the regular season. I mean, that's as solid a number 9 hitter as there was in the American League this year.
No question.
And you see 14 postseason home runs for the Angels. All but 2 of the solo variety. Found out a play by Darren Erstand, who had an infield hit his first time up.
This is a team that did not hit the ball out of the park during the regular season on a regular basis. They were gap power guys, hit tons of doubles. Garrett Anderson tied for the league lead in doubles this year with 56. Nomar also had 56.
One to Darren Erstad, and he looks at a good breaking ball from Mays at the knees of Swank. We mentioned Erstad, more hits than any player in either league during the postseason, 15 of those. He's already had 6 multi-hit games during this postseason.
This is the leader of this ball club as far as playing hard and getting dirty. Went on the DL earlier this season in April because they got a concussion. Didn't pull a hammy or tear a ligament. Ran headlong into a wall trying to catch a fly ball.
2-2. Sails high and away. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Erstad. The 14 postseason home runs for Anaheim matches their previous 3 postseasons combined. Off the end of the bat. Slip play there by Guzman. Boy, he is smooth over there at shortstop. Well, if this series goes to a 6th game, then Tuesday night we'll be back in Minneapolis. The Angels will still be a win away from their first World Series trip in team history, while the Twins will try and force a decisive Game 7, all part of October's magical matchups. That would be Tuesday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. And for those of you in the Central Time Zone, 7 o'clock will get underway. The 1991 Minnesota Twins, the last American League Western Division team to reach the World Series. Salmon got his first hit of the league championship series in the opening inning, a single into left field. And a little floater that will be run down by Guzman in left center field to end the inning. But Kennedy plays long ball leading off the Anaheim 3rd. We go to the 4th. Minnesota 2, Anaheim 1. Kevin Appier, a 1-2-3 3rd inning after allowing single runs in each of the first 2 innings. And David Ortiz knocked in the first run of the game with a double off the right field wall. Ortiz missed a month this season with knee surgery, limited to 125 games. Last year he missed 3 months with a broken wrist, but when he's in the lineup, capable of doing major damage. Check swing and a foul ball out of play. 1-1 to Ortiz, who hit 20 home runs and knocked in 75 runs despite missing significant time this season. Kennedy, a home run in the Anaheim third inning to make it a 1-run ball game. Ortiz to be followed by Torrey Hunter and then Doug Mientkiewicz here in the fourth. Appier okays his sign with Molina. 2-1.
I like the way Ortiz is approaching these at bats so far in this ball game. He told me before that when you're hitting fourth in this lineup, you don't see too many strikes. A lot of times when you get one or one down the middle, it surprises you. And he said Appier is going to try to get me to chase everything.
2-1 pitch on the outside corner of fastball to even the count.
Appier already up over 50 pitches. We said he likes to throw a ton of them. 53 of them so far.
Two. Breaking ball and a good eye again by Ortiz. In fact, David has knocked in runs in each of his last 2 at-bats and has base hits in each of his last 3 at-bats. He had a single in the 7th inning here last night, the RBI single in the 9th, and then the run scoring double his first time up today. Apparently Appier having a lot of trouble getting on the same page as Benji Molina.
A lot of shaking off going on down there. Slider.
Crowd back out of play. Well, I tell you, here in this at bat, Molina put down 1, which generally indicates a fastball. Appier threw a slider.
Right.
He put down 3, which generally indicates a breaking ball of some kind, and that was a fastball.
No question. That's why I said slider when I saw it, and I thought that he had put down a 1 before. And here's the same 3. This should be a fastball again, and it is.
Maybe that's why they're having trouble getting on the same page. Fly ball into center field, and Erstad's got it 1 away. Well, I know you recognize that face, Steve, and you better be nice. Peter Chernin, the CEO of the Fox Group, in attendance here today. You better be careful, big man.
That's what I keep saying every time it's contract time. They better be nice. Never seems to work out that way, though.
Peter enjoying the ball game here today. He's got a pretty good seat down there.
I hope so. Runs the show.
Ball 1 to Torrey Hunter. Hunter popped up to Spezio, ending the opening inning. There was again. I don't think I've ever seen this before in my life. Have you, Steve? I mean, obviously you see it with a runner at second base where they'll change up signs and go through a series of signs. But Molina again just put down 3, and it was a fastball.
Let's see what 2 is. Now we're going back to 1. This should be a slider now.
I'll be darned. It was a slider.
It's like you said, the only time you usually see guys switch up their signs is if there's a guy on second base or if you think the other team's trying to steal your signs. This may be a situation, and I'm guessing here, but it could be what Appier sees the best. Sees 3 fingers down there. It's easier for him to say, all right, here we come.
2-1. Fastball smoked into left center field, but Erstad will run it down shy of the track. It gives us a moment to present today's RadioShack.com trivia question. How many Major League teams have never appeared in a World Series? We've already told you the Anaheim Angels have never been there since this franchise got on its feet back in 1961.
A couple recent expansion teams probably be added to that list if you try hard, with the exception of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Ball 1 to Doug Mientkiewicz.
Arizona Diamondbacks at home watching this postseason. One of their star players and the sure Cy Young Award winner is not, however. I have it through a good source that he is enjoying himself at Disneyland today. Randy Johnson.
Really?
You got it.
1-0 pitch. Slider down and in. 2-0 to Mientkiewicz. And that's just fine with every hitter in the major leagues.
Yes, it is.
Randy Johnson winning 3 of Arizona's 4 World Series games last October. 2-0 pitch. Strike called on the outside corner.
Appiers' location in this inning much better.
Mientkiewicz flying out to Anderson his first time up, and a fastball belt high outside corner, even sings a 2-2. Six in a row set down by Appier. After giving up a run in the first and one more in the second. Cold foul up the first baseline. We'll do it again. 2-2. Thundersticks early and often here in Anaheim. Bouncing ball at Eckstein behind the back. Good pick up in the over. 7 in a row set down by Appier. His team bats last to the 4th, down a run. Steve, take a look at that. About 25 rally monkeys.
At least it's a jungle out there. Yeah, those guys are hanging in pretty good.
Bottom of the 4th inning, heart of the order coming up. Anderson, Gloss, and Fulmer against Joe Mays. 2-1 Minnesota in front. First pitch breaking ball away to Garrett Anderson. Ball 1. He bounced into a fielder's choice his first time up. Breaking ball scalded into right field, this time a base hit. Bud Black, the pitching coach for the Anaheim Angels, talked about Joe Mays' effort in game 1 and what he expected from his team's offense here in game 5.
You know, obviously Joe pitched you know, fabulously. You know, he changed speeds, he used the sinker, you know, he pitched aggressive, you know, he pitched great, and he pitched a lot like Radke pitched last night. So if it's any consolation, we've seen Mays once, we saw Radke. They're both sort of similar. Hopefully our guys can make some adjustments today.
Radke went 6 2/3. Outstanding innings here last night. Allowed 5 hits and 2 runs, both coming in his 7th inning when it was scoreless up until the bottom of the 7th. Anaheim with 4 hits against Mays through the first 3+, and Gloss First pitch swinging, pops it up behind the plate. Pierzynski's got it, one away. Zeke Loss very disappointed in that at bat. So too his hitting coach Mickey Hatcher.
And believe it or not, I think Joe Mays is disappointed in the pitch that he threw. Joe Mays is not the kind of guy that wants to go upstairs to get guys out. Wants to stay down in the strike zone. It's a bad sign for Joe Mays when he's running a ball up there. That's a ball that will get hit today. And that's why Gloss is disappointed. That's just a fastball right up in the strike zone, and he can't live up there.
Brad Fulmer digging in. Takes a fastball high and away. 1 on, 1 out. A 1-run game here in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Minnesota in front 2-1.
Still amazed at the Garrett Anderson at bat. Mays flips a curveball up there for him on his first pitch. Most guys would be sitting on dead red next pitch. He throws him another breaking ball and he just scalds it into right.
Fulmer grounded out sharply to Minkiewicz his first time up and takes strike 1 on the outside corner. Fulmer suffered from dehydration after the ball game last night. They had to give him an IV to pump some fluids back in his body. But they said no problems with Brad Fulmer coming into the game here today.
Got to stay away from Fulmer.
They do, but it's outside. 2-1.
Want to try to get Brad Fulmer to maybe roll over on a pitch. Been hitting with a lot of power in this series, driving the ball into the right center field gap. He's gone for a home run in game 2 in the Metrodome. Get him to roll over, hit the ball on the ground for a double play.
2-1 delivery. Hardy on the fastball, fouls it out of play. It should come as no surprise that Fulmer is red hot here during the postseason. In the month of September, he hit .373. And over the last couple of months of the year, he really brought his overall numbers way up. 9 of his 19 home runs, 25 of his 59 RBIs came over the final 58 games.
It's a guy that hit 32 homers in 2000 for the Toronto Blue Jays.
On the ground, double play ball. There it is, and the Twins turn it easily to win the inning. A leadoff hit, nobody left. And a 4-2-1 Minnesota back after a break from your 8 in a row set down by Appier since. The man who bats now, A.J. Pierzynski, knocked in a run with a single to left field in the 2nd inning. Pierzynski, an all-star for the first time this season. Led the Twins in batting average. For a catcher, he led them in triples with 6 of them. Been known to inspire the wrath of an opponent or two with his talkative manner back behind the plate and at the plate. Well, we've said it once, we've said it 10 times during the series. All it takes is to watch this guy a handful of games and you realize you take him on your team any day and every day. Hard-nosed player.
Denny Hocking is unavailable for this series. Probably his best friend on the team says, you know what, the thing I like about him the most is that, yeah, he might do a crazy thing once in a while.
There's a base hit into center field, his 2nd of the afternoon.
But he says, you know what, he'll go right to the plate, and if they want to stick one in his ear hole, he'll stand there and take it too. Good piece of hitting. This ball gets in on him just a little bit of a jam shot, but right up the middle, keeps his head down. Watch the balance here. Stuck with his swing, didn't try to get too big with it. Right out of the hand of Appier, and right back up the middle. There's a lot of money hitting the ball right there. There is Danny Hawkins. Finger is getting a little bit better. You remember he was stepped on during the celebration after they beat the A's in the divisionals. What a way to miss a series.
Double play ball here. Eckstein, Kennedy. Go to the bottom of the fifth. 2-1 Minnesota. Minnesota in front 2-1. Game 5 of this American League Championship Series with the Angels leading it 3-1. Strike one to Spezio. Two runs, 4 hits for Minnesota. 1 run, 4 hits for Anaheim against Joe Mays, who was terrific in game 1. In the air, right field, drifting back to the wall is Moore. Tie game.
And now a blast. Watch location of this pitch. Once again, a little bit too high in the zone for a guy that wants to throw sinkers away to left-handed hitters.
Well, Steve, when that was hit, I thought he hit it off the end of the bat a bit.
He just really extended. It didn't look quite as good because he's one of those left-handed hitters that extends his swing with just one hand.
That's out of here!
We begin anew here in the 5th. Molina rolls over one. Koski in front of Guzman. 1 away in the inning.
Watch how Spezio is one of those left-handed hitters that's a one-hand follow-through guy. Makes contact, then gets extension through the zone, and then lets go with the bottom hand and follows through with his swing with just one hand. Sometimes that gives you the impression that maybe he missed it. He didn't miss that one. A sinker just not sinking.
Spezio, his first home run of the league championship series, his second in the postseason. Adam Kennedy homered his first time up.
Spezio, one of those guys that doesn't want to hop on a plane and go back to Minnesota. Maybe he can put together a gig with his band, Sand Frog. Do a little party in the night if they win the whole thing.
Just a little.
Plays a little guitar, does some singing in the band. I think he could put the boys together for a quick performance, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Joe Mays hoping that celebration will be put on hold permanently. Breaking ball in there, a strike to Kennedy, 1-2. Spezio, the pride and joy of Joliet, Illinois, still makes his offseason home. Back in Illinois, and the 1-2 on the way is in the air, right center field, hit pretty well. Dustin Moore back to the wall. Gone! Kennedy, who hit 7 home runs during the regular season, has 3 in the playoffs, 2 today.
He is picture perfect today. That's a hanging breaking ball. He's hanging out all over the plate. The ball is jumping in this yard today. Kennedy getting big in the playoffs. He's saying, do not forget about me. I can swing the bat.
His 3rd career 2-home-run game. Kennedy, just another example of some of the marvelous wheeling and dealing that's been done by Bill Stoneman, the general manager, as you look at the reaction down in the dugout. Kennedy, the former St. Louis Cardinals minor league player of the year. They remember they dealt Jim Edmonds to get him. 2 away in the inning. Then the big move made to trade away Mo Vaughn to get today's starter, Kevin Appier. Stoneman, a very interesting guy. An outstanding pitcher in the big leagues during his career. In fact, was a 1972 National League All-Star. Pitched 1 year here in California. Then retired from baseball in '74. Went into the world of finance after getting a master's degree out of the University of Oklahoma. He was away from the game for 10 years. Then was more in the financial administrative side of things with Montreal before coming here 4 years ago. No activity in the Minnesota bullpen. 1-0 pitch. On the ground is short. And Guzman will throw out Erstad to win the inning. Anaheim flexing its muscles. And the strongest of them all right now, Adam Kennedy.
So, Dan, do we have everything we need for this meeting?
It's all right here, sir.
Is your data backup as reliable as it should be?
Don't worry, sir. He told me everything.
Ours is. Bright Store Storage Software from Computer Associates.
Taco Bell's grilled steak taco tastes so authentic, you may pull a grilled steak switch out.
So you like carne asada steak?
Yeah.
Great. I've got some out on the grill.
The grilled steak taco. Tender slices of steak marinated in Mexican spices and grilled to perfection for a taste that's irresistible. For authentic carne asada steak, think outside the bun.
The League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Now we go to the 6th inning. The Anaheim Angels leading this best-of-7 series 3-1, have their first lead of the afternoon. And a top of the order coming up for Minnesota against Kevin Appier. Jock Jones 0 for 2. High bouncer in front of the plate. Appier gloves, and he'll throw, but no chance to get Jones. Tying one aboard to begin the Minnesota 6th.
This is exactly what the Twins needed to get back in this game after a rough inning. A big high chopper. If that was in the turf in Minnesota, you'd have no chance of making a throw. Appier off the end of his glove tries to do it anyway. Spezio makes a smart move by just coming off of the bag and making the catch.
Jock Jones, 6 stolen bases, was thrown out 13 times. or pardon me, thrown out 7 times, 13 attempts, successful 6, thrown out 7. And opposing base stealers had a tough time with Appier this season. Thrown out 46% of the time when they tried to run against Kevin Appier.
One of the biggest reasons for that, although Appier isn't all that quick to the plate, but Benji Molina behind the dish can catch it and throw it. One of the best in the American League.
Brendan Donnelly cranking it up now in the Anaheim bullpen. This bullpen has been sensational during this series. Bunted high in the air. This could be a hit. Fielded, and a nice play by Spezio to throw out Guzman, give him the sacrifice, advancing Jones into scoring position.
Toughest part about this play for Spezio is he had to look straight up into the bright sunlight. He's got the glasses on, a little bit difficult to see. Fires a strike over to Kennedy.
And that's going to be all for Kevin Appier. Appier pitching into the 6th inning for the first time in this postseason. And now he'll leave with a tying run at second base and 1 out in the inning. Corey Koski coming up. We'll be back.
Some say he's still out wandering these hills, looking for his lost head.
Anaheim faithful thinking about the first trip ever in Angels franchise history to the World Series. Still a long way to go in this one. We remind you, coming up next from Pacific Bell Park in San Francisco, Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. Giants leading that set 2-1. Solid outing by Kevin Appier. 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits. He leaves with a runner at second and a 1-run lead for Brendan Donnelly.
Solid doesn't even begin to describe what Donnelly and the rest of this bullpen for the Angels have done.
Did the Angels pull Appier too early? Vote now using PCS Vision from Sprint or logging on to foxsports.com. Tying run at second. And Koski takes a fastball belt high on the inside corner, of strike. Donnelly, another guy, much like Ben Weber. Really taken off the scrap heap, if you will, by this Anaheim organization, and they have become enormous parts of the second best bullpen in the major leagues this season, second only to the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, he said it earlier in this season, or in this series, when he made an appearance. This is his 11th year in professional baseball. It's his first year in the big leagues. He's been released 6 times. Played for 9 different organizations, including a couple independent baseball teams. Just kept hanging in there.
0-2 to Koski, who struck out 7 of his last 11 plate appearances. It's 8 of 12 now. Take a look at our Chevy Trucks in-game box score for Minnesota. The Twins with 5 base hits, a couple of runs, but they came in each of the first 2 innings.
And this isn't anything but a good old country fastball from Brendan Donnelly. Got to put this ball in play.
Well, now let's see what they elect to do with a left-handed batting Ramon Ortiz, who has an RBI double in the game already. Flying out to deep center field in the 4th inning. You do have the dangerous but right-handed hitting Torrey Hunter waiting on deck. David Ortiz digging in, and a pitch on the way. Strike 1. David Ortiz with 3 hits in his last 4 at-bats with a couple of runs batted in. Trying to tie this game up, if not give Minnesota the lead with a long one. 1 ball and 1 strike. get a look at the bullpen comparison so far in this series. The only run allowed by the Anaheim bullpen was Ben Weber in the 9th inning with a 7-0 lead here last night. The Minnesota bullpen has been knocked around hard the last couple of games. Shaking off Benji Molina a couple of times, and now the 1-1 to David Ortiz on the ground. That is a foul ball. Foul ball signaled immediately by Ed Rapuano, the first base umpire. It becomes his call once it gets by the bag.
Right down the line, and clearly bounced on the other side of the bag and was in foul territory when it reached the bag. Down there at first base, celebrated an anniversary with his wife last night here in Anaheim.
Fastball high and away. 2-2 to David Ortiz, tying run at second base. 2 away here in the Minnesota 6th inning. Trying to send this series back to Minneapolis on Tuesday night. That one comes all the way to the screen, and advancing down to third is Jock Jones.
They're playing Ortiz like a dead ball hitter, and Ortiz in this situation should be thinking about just dumping the ball over the shortstop's head just to drive this run in. He does not have to hit the ball out of the ballpark. There's a lot of room in left center field for extra bases for him. You see Erstad pulled over. Donnelly with that pitch was maybe one of the worst pitches we've seen him throw in this series. Missed location badly. Molina couldn't even get a glove on it. Look where Molina wants it, away, and then, whoops. Missed by 3 feet inside.
Struck him out 2 on the inning. Base hit into left field by Tim Salmon to begin the Anaheim 6th inning.
Tim Salmon loading up that swing and finally getting a good pitch to hack out.
Now Garrett Anderson 1 for 2 in the game, singled his last time up, and a base hit going in center field. Salmon making a turn, going to third, and they're starting to smell it here in Anaheim.
Rivas playing Anderson to pull because he did his last at bat. If he gets this ball, it's a double play ball, but he can't reach it up the middle.
Johan Santana, the left-hander, cranking it up in the Twins bullpen. Minnesota down a run here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And now the batter Troy Gloss, who has fly to center and fouled out to A.J. Brzezinski behind the plate. Infield drawn in. And it's under the knees, ball one.
There is the life-size rally monkey making another appearance.
Salmon started the inning with a single. Went to third on a base hit by Anderson. One of the gloss. Down the right field line towards the corner. Foul ball. On the ground, and they have the runner caught. Koski flips to Pierzynski, and they cut down the lead runner. What a big out that is for Joe Mays in Minnesota. Huge out.
Salmon just gets caught out here, taking one step too far home. Koski right on it, and he knows he's got him if he tries to go back. Koski actually thought about turning the double play. And he said, I'd better take this out if he's going to give it to me here. Brzezinski, Salmon, a little elbow going on there. I think if Salmon dove back to third base, he would have made it.
It's clearly not a contact play there. Salmon's coming to the plate on contact. Going to do it for Joe Mays. They're going to bring on Santana to face a left-handed hitting Brad Fulmer. Anaheim leading 3-2 with runners at first and second. One out here in the bottom of the sixth inning. And now taking over. He's been busy in this series. Johan Santana.
Go back to that play at third base with Koski. I don't know if Salmon was maybe trying to bait Koski into trying to turn a double play, and then he'd score on the play. He clearly had enough time to get back to third if he wanted to. Koski then had the option to try to go to second to get the out there, or go over to first and get the out there. Go to second, keep the double play in order. As it stands now, you still have the double play in order and nobody on third.
Sean Wooten now to pinch hit for Brad Fulmer. Wooten went 6 of 9 during the division series against the Yankees. 1 of 5 in this series. Back and swing that back. Santana. Wooten 1 of 3 in his career against Santana. Joe Mays, another solid effort. Gave up 3 runs pitching into the 6th inning here in game 5. But his team did give him a 2-0 lead. And the bottom line is Mays couldn't hold it.
Did not have the same stuff as he had in game 1. Was up in the strike zone.
Two on, 1 out, 2-0 on Wooten. Check swing. It looked like he went around. No on the appeal to Ed Rapolano. 3-0.
A lot of hip turn out of Wooten, but not a lot of effort with the bat and the hands to try to hit the ball.
Taking on 3-0 for a strike is Wooten. 3-1.
Won't be taken here. Santana's got to try to throw a ball a little bit on the outer half of the plate, trying to get Wooten a little over aggressive and bang one into the ground.
3-1. Fouled out of play. Tardy on the fastball. Full count. Now with a 3-2 lead in the game, a 3-1 lead in a series. 2 on, 1 out. Will Mike Scioscia start his runners? Yes. Fouled away. Trying to stay out of that double play. Solid, aggressive managing there by Mike Scioscia.
Wooten's a guy who generally will put his bat on the ball. Strike him out, throw him out. Takes the wind out of your sails a little bit, but Garrett Anderson getting a pretty good jump, and I think Scioscia doesn't feel that Santana has enough confidence in throwing a breaking ball 3-2 in case he walks him. Figures Wooten will get a pretty good pitch to swing at.
Runners go again. And a swing and a foul tip. We'll do it again. 3 balls, 2 strikes. I'm not sure he touched that ball. Do you?
That was the over-aggressiveness that we were talking about. Pizinski might be saying the same thing to home plate umpire right now, but it wasn't a strike.
Swing and a miss, throw down to third, and a strike come out, throw him out, double play, ends the inning. It looked like somebody may have missed a sign. Anderson late to get started. It's a 1-run game. We're back after these messages from your local Fox station.
And then turn around and go back. Koski was just waiting for Anderson to show up at third, and as I said, this ought to give Minnesota a little bit of a lift going into these later innings.
Boy, what a huge turnaround the way that Anaheim inning started. A single by Salmon. He went to third on a single by Garrett Anderson. They were on the corners with nobody out. A ground out, cut down Salmon on a fielder's choice. And then the double play to end the inning to keep it a 1-run game. Brendan Donnelly on in relief of Kevin Appier. Off the end of the bat, short right field. And Salmon is there. Hunter retired. 1 away. Again, a reminder coming up next from San Francisco. Barry Bonds and the Giants leading the National League Championship Series over St. Louis. 2-1. Livan Hernandez for the Giants against Andy Bennis of St. Louis. The Anaheim Angels are 8 outs away from their first trip ever to the World Series. They cling to a 1-run lead. Taken outside to Minkevich, who's 0 for 2. Talked a great deal about the struggles of Jones and Pierzynski and Koski, among others. That is only the second hit since coming to Anaheim for Minkevich. Tying run aboard. The go-ahead run comes to the plate for Minnesota. Dustin Moore doubled and scored in the second, flying out to the warning track in center in the fifth. No activity in the Anaheim bullpen. They'd like to have Donnelly get it through the seventh, Rodriguez in the eighth, Percival the ninth. That's the way you draw it up. Ball 1 to Moore. We've talked about how good his at-bats have been in this series.
surprises me a little bit that you don't have someone down there at least playing catch. Yeah, you draw it up that way. Donnelly gets himself in trouble. You better have someone ready down there to come in and bail him out.
One to Dustin Moore. Swing and a miss. Throw down to first, and they nearly caught Mientkiewicz asleep at the wheel. There's already been some shoddy base running on both sides here in the game today.
And Mientkiewicz with the aggressive secondary lead, but then the throw down by Molina. He loves to do that. Little swipe tag there by Spezio, and Mientkiewicz gets back just ahead of that throw. Molina pretty sneaky down there, likes to throw without even standing up. Donnelly says, yeah, it was close.
1-1 delivery. Fastball high and away. Now there's activity in that bullpen. The 20-year-old Venezuelan Francisco Rodriguez, who's already won 3 games during the postseason, starting to get loose. They said he was good to come in the 7th, and that Percival would be available for more than just 3 outs in the 9th inning. Like Socha telling us that before the game today. Into left center field, another base hit for Dustin Moore. And on to second base goes Mientkiewicz. Boy, Dustin Moore getting a chance to play here in Anaheim after not starting the first 2 games of the series. He's been their best hitter in this series.
Another good swing, head down. Gardenhire put it, he's watched long enough. Time for him to get in there and do some damage for us. He was pulling off the ball a little bit during the regular season towards the end of that season. Done a pretty good job of keeping that front shoulder down and threw the ball in this series.
He has more hits than anybody else on the Minnesota team in this series. That's now 5 in only 3 starts.
Not going to miss too many more starts in this series,
no.
if there are some more.
Bud Black out to the mound. Minnesota now with a tying run in scoring position. The go-ahead run is over at first base. And Pierzynski already 2 for 2 with an RBI comes to the plate. Of course, in game 5 against the Oakland Athletics. In the division series, he hit the big home run in the 9th inning off Billy Koch.
And I think it would be a mistake for him to go up there and think home run. All he has to do is dive in Mientkiewicz from second base. Keep the rally alive.
Oh, foul. Look out. Well, almost getting Steve Little, the bench coach, for Ron Gardenhire. I have Big David Ortiz saying, hold on, big man.
I have never seen a left-handed hitter pull a ball that far foul. We've seen guys hit balls in the dugouts before, but this ball's going to go straight into their dugout from this angle. Look at that. Whoa, look out. That's getting around on one. Ball might have hit him off the right kneecap if he didn't swing at it.
Huge situation for the Twins. They've had such a hard time scoring in this series. And now to tying run at second base with 1 away. 0-1. Fastball high and outside, even a count.
You would hope that David Ortiz had a little conversation with Pierzynski about his at-bat. When it got deep in the count, he threw him that nasty slider down and in that wasn't really a strike that Ortiz swung at. 3-2. The pitch that Pierzynski just fouled off into their dugout was that same pitch.
Lined into right field, a base hit. They're going to wave around the runner, and now throw up the stop sign is Al Newman. Able to fire it back in is Tim Salmon. And the bases are loaded with 1 away here in the Twins' 7th inning. Mankiewicz got a very poor jump.
Those balls hit very hard into right field. He does have to look to see if anyone's going to catch this ball. And then he gets his jump. Not the fastest guy in the world. And this ball's hustling into right field. Salmon coming in hard. If he goes, he's dead. Salmon with a strong throw. Not hitting the cutoff man. Mankiewicz with a little hesitation. Wasn't sure if anyone could catch that. Now he's coming around third. Couldn't do it.
And the Twins with a chance to tie or take the lead as we have a pitching change. Rodriguez allows 3 straight singles with 1 out in the 7th inning and leaves with the bases loaded. Bobby Kelty will be sent up to pinch hit against the remarkable 20-year-old right-hander Francisco Rodriguez.
Frankie Rodriguez struck out Kelty in a pinch hitting situation in last night's ball game with a 3-2 slider that was unhittable. Faced Troy Percival in game 2 and struck him out on a changeup from Percival that was unhittable.
Now the Minnesota Twins down 3 games to 1 in this league championship series, trailing 3-2 here in the 7th inning. The bases loaded, only 1 out, and Kelty waits. Rodriguez turns it loose, fastball high, 1-0. 3rd game in a row Rodriguez is gone out of the bullpen.
Gotta wonder if, even though available, if he's a little bit tired, maybe the break on that breaking ball not quite as sharp, maybe a mile or 2 an hour off of that fastball.
Swung on and fouled back out of play. We say 3 games in a row because it's 3 consecutive days. This is the 4th straight game in this series that Rodriguez has been brought on by Mike Scioscia. You see already 3-0, pitched in 5 games during the regular season. That's all.
That pitch right there by Kelty is the pitch that you've got to hit. Bases loaded. Fastball down the middle.
The breaking ball stayed high. Kelty had 5 at-bats during the season with the bases loaded. He had 3 base hits.
That was a hanging breaking ball, Tom.
Fastball inside, blocked at 96. Huge pitch upcoming in this game and in this series. Rodriguez does not want to go to 3-2. We'll try and put him away 2-2. Started the appeal, and no, he didn't go around, says Mike Everett. Came with a 3-2 breaking ball.
This is a tough breaking ball. It's the best breaking ball he's thrown in this at-bat. He hung the other one. Still has a pretty good fastball. And I got to think, Kelty, after his first couple of at-bats against Percival where he struck out, against Rodriguez where he struck out, both on pitches that weren't fastballs, he's got to be looking dead red right here. If he gets it, he's got to hammer it.
Tying 1 at 3rd, go ahead 1 at 2nd, 1 out. Ball 4, and Rodriguez has walked in a run. What an outstanding at bat by Bobby Kelty. A 3-3 game, and they're still loaded.
You got that right, Tom. Great at-bat by that kid right there. First pitch, fastball out of the zone. Next pitch, this is a pitch he could have hit. Then a breaking ball that hangs. Then a nasty fastball inside. Kelty now with the 2-2, lays off of that, and then a fastball down. Clearly the biggest control problems that we've seen so far out of Frankie Rodriguez.
What a fabulous at-bat by Bobby Jock Jones. Only 1 out. And a breaking ball is high and in. Certainly not the same kind of bite on that slider, with the exception of the 2-2 that we've seen from Rodriguez in this series before today.
And the difference was he had outstanding bite, and he had it in the strike zone. So even if the guys weren't swinging at it, it was a strike.
Dustin Moore, the runner at third. A.J. Pierzynski at second. Great at bat by Kelty to draw a walk to bring in a tying run at first. Swing and a miss.
That ball had a little sink on it. Turned it over just a little bit as Jones goes after it.
See, Jones in his career has struggled with the bases loaded. And he chops that one foul. Steve, you mentioned the swing. I mean, all Minnesota needs out of Jones right here and right now is just a fly ball. Of course, now with 2 strikes, a little bit different. But that first strike he saw swinging from his heels.
And not only that, I mean, he's in a position where he runs well enough. If he puts the ball in play, a double play is certainly not an automatic. Must put the ball in play.
One and 2 on Jock Jones. Gets away from Molina, and here comes a go-ahead run, safe at the plate. A walk and a wild pitch has given Minnesota a 4-3 lead. And how about these Minnesota Twins? Trying to send this series back to Minneapolis. They've come from behind to take the lead.
That's once again Benji Molina lazy behind the plate. Now I can understand how tough it is to catch Frankie, but you got to get your body over in front of that. With guys on base, you have got to get to your knees, slide your feet out, and block that ball with your chest protector. You can't just be reaching over there with your hands and expect to catch it.
Infield now drawn in, runners at second and third. 2-2 pitch. Ball 3. Rodriguez clearly laboring with his control here today. 4th straight game of the series. That means he's pitched 4 of the last 5 days, including now 3 in a row.
And understand how difficult it is to catch his stuff when he's going good. When he's wild, it's that much tougher, but you have to be fundamentally sound back there.
In the air, straight away center field. Tagging Pierzynski, Erstad to catch, Erstad to throw. Here comes a play at the plate. Pierzynski just beating the throw, and Minnesota with a 2-run lead.
Way to go, AJ! Way to go, baby! Fucking Bobby standing up the snap.
This is a great effort by Erstad to get him, but remember, Pierzynski's a catcher. Molina's trying to block the plate, and he's going to go right through him with that front leg. Just knock the shin guard out of the way. You think AJ's had that done to him a few times? He's happy about it.
And give it up to Jock Jones. He got that fly ball.
In a difficult situation with a nasty pitcher on the mound.
Jock fired up over there. A 3-run 7th inning for Minnesota. They're the team that so far in this series has not been able to stop Anaheim late in ball games. And for the first time, Minnesota charges back to take a lead here in the 7th inning. Guzman fouls it away, 1-1.
You look at Bobby Kelty still at second base with the way that Erstad made that throw, kind of an all or nothing throw to home. Kelty probably should have moved up to third base. There was no cutoff man involved. As soon as you see the ball thrown high as a base runner, you can take an extra base. With 2 outs now, he'll score from second base anyway, most likely, but you can't score many more ways from third.
Minnesota Twins team came from behind, 42 wins during the regular season. But no bigger comeback than what they've done here in the 7th inning in Game 5 of this American League Championship Series. In the air, foul ground down the left field line, and Anderson will not get to it. A 1-out single by Minkevich. A single by Moore, a single by Pierzynski to load him up. Rodriguez came on, walked in a tying run. A wild pitch brought in a go-ahead run. And Jock Jones, a sac fly RBI for a third one in the inning. Two to Christian Guzman. And a ground ball sharply, and Kennedy, he'll get there. And the inning is over, but not before these never say die Twins come up with 3 and lead by 2. Think outside the bunt. Back in Anaheim, where this crowd is shocked at what's transpired over the last full inning in the Angels 6. They had runners at first and third, nobody out, failed to score in that inning. And then Minnesota comes back, Steve, in the 7th with 3 runs to take the lead.
I still like the aggressive play by Mike Scioscia having that happen, but the fact is, we talked about if you get a strike him out, throw him out in that situation, takes the wind out of your sails and gives the Twins a little bit of momentum coming into their offensive inning, and they took advantage of it. Jock Jones getting the fly ball when he needed there, and Erstad trying to make the play. Pierzynski hustling all the way, knocking Molina off the plate and scoring.
Our Nissan game summary. Neither starter will figure in the decision. Both pitched relatively well today. Appier only allowed 1 run. Mays 3 run. Adam Kennedy with a pair of home runs for Anaheim. Spezio a solo blast in the 5th. But look at the way Minnesota got it done. A bases loaded walk. We talked about the at bat by the pinch hitter Bobby Kelty. A wild pitch, and then a sac fly by Jock Jones.
Kind of the way they've gotten it done all year long. They'll scratch it, they'll claw, they'll do what they have to do. Everyone talks about how aggressive they are offensively and defensively. They'll make their mistakes. Ron Gardenhire will live with those mistakes as long as they're aggressive. Told his guys to go out and play hard.
Talked about 42 come from behind wins for Minnesota. Anaheim 1 more than that. 3 of the 43 against the Twins. Spezio, Molina, and Adam Kennedy coming up against Johan Santana.
I mean, I love teams that put pressure on the opposing defenses. But when you are that type of team, when things backfire on you, when it doesn't work, it can be deflating. The Twins took advantage of a little bit of a deflating situation that happened on the strike them out, throw them out to end the 6th inning, and then they came ablazing in the 7th.
Strike 1 to Spezio, turns around about right-handed from the left side in the 5th. He hammered one of the seats off Joe May. That tied the game in the 5th inning, and 2 batters later, Kennedy gave him a lead. Into right center field, it will fall out there in front of Dustin Moore. So now Anaheim has a tying run coming to the plate. While we have a moment, let's send it back to our Fox Network Center at Jeannie Zelasco.
Tom, Steve, the Cardinals are 1 win away from tying up their series with the Giants, and you can give some of the credit to little Cannon Kyle. The 5-year-old son of the late Darryl Kyle rallied the troops in Game 3, and he will be back in action tonight.
That'll be coming your way right here on Fox after the conclusion of this one from Anaheim. LaTroy Hawkins will begin to throw.
Finally beginning to throw both times. It's amazed me how late we've gotten action in the bullpen when we've had a guy in a little bit of trouble on the mound and nobody in the pen throwing.
Well, 1 to Benji Molina. 0 for 2 in the game. Don't forget Adam Kennedy waits in the on-deck circle. Now Kennedy will rarely get an at against a left-handed pitcher. And with the light hitting Molina, perhaps that is why right now Ron Gardenhire is staying with Santana.
You have to get Molina to hit a ground ball.
2-0.
We saw it in last night's ball game when he tripled off the left center field wall. Torrey Hunter went headlong into the wall, couldn't react all that quickly to get it back in. We saw just how slow Molina is. Now, a lot of catchers don't run all that well, but this guy isn't getting any leg hits. If you can get him to hit the ball on the ground ball, he's an automatic double play if someone catches the first out.
Crowd back out of play on a 2-0. Can this Minnesota bullpen, which was so good during the regular season, but has struggled here in the League Championship Series, can they nail down the final 9 outs of this game and send it back to Minneapolis?
Try to get the ball into the hands of Everyday Eddie, who has not been every day in this series.
2-2 on Molina.
Pit looping breaking ball for a strike here, up in the strike zone. Santana slipped a little bit on his delivery there.
This guy figures to be some kind of starting pitcher for many years to come with Minnesota. Two on Molina's on the way. Sail high, 3-2. Well, if you're Ron Gardenhire and Rick Anderson, the pitching coach, you have just got to be scratching your head in that dugout. I mean, granted, Molina had a big 2-run triple here in the 8th inning and has worn out Minnesota pitching this year. But you cannot walk him.
No. Make him swing the bat.
So David Lamb taking over for Rivas at second base. Ron Gardenhire said before the game today, in his opinion, the biggest play of the 8th inning when Anaheim scored 5 runs last night was Santana throwing to first and throwing the ball away. He said he did it on his own, and it led to that 5-run inning. Still 3-2.
Benji Molina came out of his shoes to hit this one. And AJ, after AJ ran over Molina to score the run in the inning before, takes one right off his noggin. These guys are trading blows with each other.
Molina bounced into 15 double plays during the regular season, the most by any Anaheim Angel. Base hit left field. And here come the Angels.
Kennedy with a huge day early on, a solo shot in the 3rd, and then flexing his muscles again in the 5th, hanging breaking ball going deep to right center. As you mentioned, Tommy, Kennedy not very often does he get at-bats against a left-handed hitter or left-handed pitcher, but he's not going to be swinging his bat in this situation.
You think he's up there to move the runner with a bunt?
I think he's going to bunt the ball, and I think he's going to stay in the game because of the possibility of him coming up again later in the game. If it's tied, they want his bat in the game, and they want his defense in the game. He is clearly their best defensive second baseman.
He had 5 sacrifices during the regular year. Put down a sacrifice here in the 6th inning last night. Sean Figgins comes on to run, representing a tying run for Benji Molina. And Hawkins still getting loose in the bullpen.
Sean Figgins, clearly an upgrade in speed from Molina, who took 14 seconds to run out a triple the other night. Mickey Hatcher's had his rally hat on since the second inning.
See if Kennedy is indeed going to lay this one down. The Minnesota defense tucked in on the corners, squares, stabs at it, and that is a foul ball.
Tom, so many times when they drop down a bunt, if the ball's headed foul, they'll say, let it go foul, let it go foul. We'll do this over again. But on a bunt like that, Brzezinski wants to pick this ball up before it goes foul because he knows he has a chance to get a lead runner. Look at him up and out of his squat. He was hoping that ball wouldn't go foul so he could make a play.
No sign of a bunt this time. They let him swing away. And it's 0-2 to Kennedy. So Mike Scioscia taking off the bunt after he fouled away the first bunt attempt for strike one.
Santana's got to go to work. Throw that sweeping slider down and out of the strike zone away from Kennedy.
Foul away again.
We've seen time after time in this series how A.J. Brzezinski is one of the best in the league at blocking the ball. Santana can afford to bounce this slider, throw it in the dirt, get Kennedy to chase it if he will. Got 4 pitches to do it with. No need to throw him a strike right here.
In the air, right center field. Well hit. Back to the wall. Was a guy who was bunting 4 minutes ago.
Taco Bell's grilled steak taco taste.
These people are getting answers to the most important questions they'll ever ask. Questions about their health. They're finding those answers in a single place. WebMD. 16 million people come to WebMD every month. They find vital information that used to be scattered in 100 locations, now all in one place. The place America comes for healthcare answers. A place called WebMD.
Man, it's so awesome hanging out in the hot tub with Derek Fisher. Thanks for having me over, Don.
Hey, no problem. I do for you, maybe you can do for me sometime.
That's right. Hey, why don't you be on my show next week?
You know what? That'd be superb.
This fall, Fox invites you to see the world through the eyes of 3 young attorneys.
I need you to listen to my opening. Again? Please. I'm so far over my head on this. Are you sleeping? No.
From Emmy Award-winning creator David E. Kelley comes a new series.
This is a murder trial. I at least assumed you'd be prepared.
I was prepared, sir.
He was in the middle of the exam, and he just fainted. He practically gave me a hickey.
Is he cheating on you, Sarah?
No, he is not cheating on me.
We both know how naive Sarah can be. I'm not just gonna sit back and let her get hurt.
Fox is proud to present the series premiere of Girls Club.
You're ready, and you can do this.
Monday, October 21st at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
Anaheim's new rally monkey is Adam Kennedy.
Tommy, this is where this is an 0-2 pitch. This is where this pitch should have been location-wise. It ends up here. A hanging breaking ball 0-2 that says hit me all over it. They've got those thunder sticks here in the ballpark. You can forget about those. The thunder stick is in Adam Kennedy's hands when he goes to the plate.
Wouldn't that be true? Adam Kennedy has as many postseason home runs this year as Troy Gloss. The second most in postseason history to Ken Griffey Jr.
And you look at him sitting there next to Spezio and Gloss. He looks like a little guy. He's not that tall, but he's pretty well put together. Weighs almost 200 pounds. You have him standing next to David Eckstein. You say, oh, these are the little guys up the middle. I think Kennedy has proved that wrong today.
Well, Troy Hawkins now on the pitch for Minnesota. And Eckstein juices one down the left field line. That ball bending foul.
One more look at it. Watch the ball just spin and hang up in Kennedy's eyes.
See Mickey Hatcher not sure. Is it?
Mickey Hatcher can't believe that he got an 0-2 pitch like that to hit. That's a colossal mistake.
And the Minnesota bullpen has made plenty of those the last 3 games. Diving play by Corey Koski. The throw. Foul time.
Koski, the former goalie, all over this ball, gets up and throws it. And Menkiewicz at the other end. A tremendous job to try to pick this ball.